Hey guys, welcome back to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I'm really excited to have you back in here. And today I want to talk to you about the difference between Facebook and Instagram, some of the things that you really need to know, and also to give you a few tips on how to use each of them independently to get great results for your business. Something that comes up a lot when I'm training people, particularly when I stand up on stage and present at a conference, which we get the pleasure of doing a lot, is how do we know when to use Facebook and how do we know when to use Instagram? What's the difference? What's going to grow my business better? What's going to be more beneficial to my business? And how do I reach my ideal customer? Well, the answer to that question is not as simple as you might at first think. The thing is that they are two very different platforms. So the first thing I need to do is explain to you what the difference is between the two of them. We also then need to have a look at how do you reach your ideal customers and what are some of those little idiosyncrasies between the two platforms, because they are different. They do operate independently. And so our strategies need to therefore be independent. So the first thing I want to say before we dive into this topic, because we've got some good stuff to go over in this session, is don't try to do everything. I see a lot of people trying to master Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. They then jump onto Snapchat. They try to get everything working for them. And what happens is when we try to catch multiple rabbits, we end up catching none. The thing is that you really need to focus hard on mastering one platform. Get really great at one platform. And when you do that, you're going to see great results come through. But if you try to spread yourself thin, if you try to be good at everything, you'll end up being good at absolutely nothing. So as I'm talking through these two platforms today, understand that both have got amazing value in the direct selling industry. Both have got the ability to grow your business, but you need to think about, where is my ideal customer hanging out? Where will I find my target customer? And more than that, how will I grow a meaningful relationship with them so that they will become loyal fans and followers? You want to create raving fans through your social media, because when you do that, they do the work for you. So let's have a little bit of a look into these two awesome platforms, because again, they've both got great benefits, but we need to know the difference. So how are Instagram and Facebook different from each other? Well, the first thing you need to understand is that Facebook owns Instagram. They are both owned by Facebook. This doesn't mean that you operate them the same way. In fact, it's an even greater reason for you to operate them independently, because Facebook knows when you're doing the same thing across both platforms. So it can't be fooled. So Facebook owns them both. This does mean a couple of things. First of all, it means that because it owns both platforms, we can connect them together. So we have the ability, if we want to share a post directly from Instagram across to Facebook. We also have the ability to run adverts and boosts simultaneously across both platforms. So when you run an advert on Facebook, you can simply click a button to run that same ad across onto Instagram. Is this always the right thing to do? No. It doesn't mean don't ever do it. But you've got to remember that the two platforms have got different demographics and operate in a different way. Therefore, we need to really think about, how do we customize the posts and the content we put on each platform so that we get the best possible reach, benefit, engagement, etc. And if we use them the same way, we're not going to get the results. So the other thing that you need to remember that's different about Facebook and Instagram is that Instagram is very much about the visual aspect. It's very much about sharing moments visually. Because Instagram wants you to be sharing what's happening in the moment, it also doesn't allow you to schedule your posts in advance, which Facebook does allow you to do. So if you want to schedule your posts to Instagram, you need to use an external program at the moment. The one that we love to use, that we find really simple and cost effective, is called Later, but there are many of them out there. So Instagram, very much visual. This means that your text or your information on Instagram comes secondary. It isn't primary, which means the first thing anyone sees when they go to your Instagram profile is always going to be your images. And it's not until they click on those images, if they're looking at your profile, that they're going to see the text that accompanies it. If they're looking at their feed, they will be able to see a small segment of your text, but only after they see the image. So the text is very much an afterthought. This means that you kind of need to really tell your story with your image. You need to grab their attention with your image. So with Instagram, your photography, the way you share your images, even the strategy around what images you share and when is really important. However, Facebook is all about the information first and the image second. So on Facebook, it's quite easy if you want to share a text-only post. I don't necessarily recommend that you do that, but it is a possibility. The other thing with Facebook is it's easy for you to connect people to make buying decisions or to take them where you want them to go. What I mean by that is you can share links on Facebook on each of your posts if you wanted to. Again, not always the best strategy to continuously do that, but with Facebook, it's easier to take people and direct them to make a buying decision. So if you want to share an image of a product and you want to then take them to the place where they can buy that product, you can do all of that within your post on Facebook. On Instagram, if you want to share a link, you can't share a link in the individual post. You actually need to put your link in your bio. What this means is that on Instagram, you can only ever share one link at a time. So anytime that you want to direct people to a link to purchase a product or go to your webpage or whatever that might be, you need to go into your bio and change it. One of the great things we love about Later is that you can actually create what we call a link in bio, which automatically changes that link for you each time you do a post. So you can direct people back to your bio each time you're doing that, and they click on the relevant link. But it's a lot of messing around if you're doing this directly in Instagram. So just to put it plainly, on Instagram, the only place you can ever share a link is in your bio, and you can only ever put one there. But on Facebook, you can be sharing links all over the place. You can put a link in your post. You can put links in your About section. You can even have a Buy Now button or a Find Out More Information button just underneath your cover image that takes them to a link. So there's loads of places you can take people on Facebook to take some form of action. Instagram, nowhere near as easy. Once you do get over a certain amount of followers on Instagram, however, you're able to start sharing links slightly more actively. But we'll talk about that later on down the track, because for right now, that's not too important. So a couple of things I want to just point out. A lot of people will say to me, I want to know more about Instagram because Instagram is for young people and my business is more appealing to young people and they're the people that I want to attract. But Facebook's for old people. So show me how to do Instagram. And I just want to correct you guys. If this happens to be you right now and you're thinking, this is me, I'm all about the young people, so therefore I want to do Instagram, I just want to pause you for a sec. The population across Facebook and Instagram in Australia is in fact very different. We know that Facebook is bigger than Instagram, but I just want to clarify the difference in the age brackets. So right now, Facebook in Australia has got just over 14 million users. Instagram has got just over 9 million users. Now, where people are getting confused with this age thing is this. Instagram, its higher usage bracket is in the 25 to 34 year age gap. So their highest number of users are in the 25 to 34 years bracket. The next most heavily used age bracket is the 18 to 24 years. Now, something to understand is that with Instagram, once we get to 34 years, our population usage of Instagram drops off significantly. So by the time we get to the 65-year-olds, we've got less than 3% of the Australian population using Instagram. However, something to understand that when we're looking at these ages and when we're looking at the usage, we can see Instagram has got a very high younger usage and a very low older usage. Facebook has got a fairly steady usage across all brackets in comparison to Instagram. But The 18 to 24 and 25 to 34-year-olds in Australia, more of a higher percentage of the Australian population in those age brackets use Facebook in comparison to Instagram. So whilst Instagram is used more heavily by a younger age bracket, more of those age brackets are using Facebook on a percentage basis in Australia. The difference is that as the age goes up, the Facebook usage doesn't drop off as rapidly. So by the time we get to the 65 plus year olds, 9% of the Australian population in that age bracket are using Facebook versus less than 3% that are using Instagram. So where the confusion comes in is that people make an assumption that Instagram is for young people and Facebook is for old people, and that's incorrect. What is correct is that Instagram is more heavily used by a younger age bracket than the older age bracket, but Facebook definitely got a high usage in the younger group. It just drops off less rapidly. So if you want a higher potential opportunity for reach, Facebook is always going to be where you get that. However, if you're thinking, well, then why do I need to use Instagram? The difference here is that if you're a very visual person, if you are great at taking imagery, if you are naturally creative, if you can attract people with your imagery, and if the product or service or business opportunity that you're promoting is something that will resonate with people through imagery, then certainly Instagram could be a perfect place for you to attract your ideal customer. So let's have a little bit of a look now at the difference between using the two platforms. Because again, a lot of people will use the platforms in the same way, and this is not a great idea. So if you want to be great at Instagram, you need to think ahead of time. You need to be thinking about, how do I want people to feel? Instagram is very much about getting an emotion across by using that imagery, because you are using pictures, not text, to get the information across. When somebody sees that image and they're taken by it, or it makes them feel a certain emotion, or it draws them in because you've tapped into their values or their interests, then they're more likely to click on it to read the text and further engage with you. But you need to first get them with the imagery. So you need to be consistent. Instagram is very much so about a consistency and patterns. So when you go to someone's Instagram profile, and I recommend, if you're thinking of using Instagram, or if you've been using it, it's not working, and you're thinking, how can I get this to work better? I recommend that you jump in and you start to have a look at some other Instagram profiles that you feel naturally drawn to. Click on those profiles and have a look at their grid. The grid is the 9 pattern tile that they've got going on their Instagram. So every 9 tiles will usually have some sort of a pattern going on. Now, it may simply be that that particular profile is using certain colors that are consistent throughout their feed. It might be that they're using certain type of imagery. It might be that they're incorporating some quotes, etc. But you'll usually see that the Instagram profiles that are doing a really great job have got a certain type of consistency that taps into the interest of their ideal audience. And that consistency stays the same. They don't jump from one type of an image to the next and have a higgledy-piggledy look when it comes to the profile and the pattern. I find that it can be, if used incorrectly, a very fluffy platform that doesn't do a lot. So it's really important that you really strategically think about how it is that you're going to use imagery to draw your ideal customer in. Now, if you're not a natural creative, or imagery strategy is not something that appeals to you, and that you just don't feel like you're going to be able to easily achieve results by using image only, then I recommend that you put a greater focus in your Facebook. Facebook is where you can use your text to really draw people in, even if the image is not great. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't do great images on Facebook, so don't misunderstand me there. But what I do encourage you to do on Facebook is be a lot more thoughtful about the content itself, so the text itself. Now, something else to remember with Instagram, you've got 150 characters in your text, before people have to click on the See More tab in order to expand your post out and see everything that you've written. This means that if you go over 150 characters with your Instagram text and someone is scrolling through their Instagram feed, it's likely that they're not going to see everything that you've put in that particular post because they're going to have to click the See More, expand it out, and really pay attention. So this means, again, on Instagram, you've got even less opportunity to get the information across in the text. Whereas on Facebook, we get up to 477 characters before Facebook creates a See More tab. This means that you've got more space to put your information in for people to see as they're scrolling through their feed. So if you're a little bit more about the words, if you're a little bit more about the information, if you want to include links, if you want to direct people to do certain things or take certain actions, Facebook is going to be a much easier place to do that. So a couple of things to keep in mind when it comes to using the two platforms simultaneously. I just want to encourage you not to be tempted to hit that button on Instagram to share across to Facebook. This is a little bit of a pothole that I see a lot of people stepping into. What I mean by this is when you go to your Instagram feed, if you've got your Instagram and your Facebook connected to each other, which is a great thing to do, I'm not discouraging that. But if you've got them connected together, Instagram will have a little option when you create your post that says, post this post to Facebook. And it's very tempting because you think, hey, it's going to expose me to more platforms. It's going to save me time. For sure, share it across to my Facebook feed. But this is a big no-no, and here's why. When you share a post that you've put up on Instagram across to Facebook, you haven't customized that post specifically for the Facebook platform, and Facebook knows it. So what happens is that Facebook is fully aware that you've just created a post on Instagram, you've ticked the button to put it onto Facebook, and it says, hey, we know that this is not customized for this platform. We know that the text hasn't been created specifically for Facebook. Therefore, we're going to show this post to less people because it's unlikely it's going to get as much interest or look great. The other thing is that to optimize an image for both platforms, you generally need to load it in separately because they take slightly different sizes, and sometimes the filters that you use on Instagram, I don't think work across on Facebook. That's a personal opinion. I can tell instantly when someone has hit this button because you can just see it. But the other thing that is a real no-no is that when we click that button to share it across, if you've got any @mentions where you've mentioned another Instagram profile in that post, which is highly recommended to do where relevant, that @mention on Facebook will be broken because you're not mentioning anyone on Facebook. You're mentioning an Instagram profile, so it's no longer a link, and it looks like a messy @mention on Facebook that makes no sense, that someone who is just a Facebook user is going to be a little confused by. So there's that element. But the last element here that I want to bring up when it comes to sharing a post across from Instagram to Facebook that's going to really affect you if you're doing this is that hashtags on Facebook are not a great thing to do. They're not recommended. And here's why. Hashtags were created for Instagram and Twitter. They were never intended for use on Facebook. They look messy, and people don't search by hashtag on Facebook. So if you go to search for any word on Facebook, it doesn't need to have that pound symbol in front of it for Facebook to bring it up in the search rankings for you. So people simply don't search that way when they're using Facebook. So this means that the algorithm on Facebook will pick up that post that you've shared across, and it's going to give you a bunch of ticks against your post straight away. So we've tested this multiple times, and what we've discovered is that when you do this, when you share a post across from Instagram to Facebook, you lose at least 30% of your potential traction you could have got with that post on Facebook if you'd simply posted it organically to the platform. So here's my recommendation. If you create a great post and you want it on both Instagram and Facebook, simply copy your text, go out of Instagram, go into the Facebook platform, load the image up and paste your text, deleting out any @mentions or hashtags. You will get a much greater reach. Facebook will know that you've customized that post for Facebook specifically, and it's going to look more appealing to Facebook users. So there's a couple of tips for you when it comes to using both platforms. Now, just remember, Facebook, very much about the text, getting the information across as well as the image. Text is really important on Facebook. I never ever recommend that you share an image on Facebook without giving it some form of context, even a link. I see a lot of people sharing posts or sharing links on Facebook and not giving any context or reason as to why you're doing it. On Facebook, you definitely want to tell people why they should check out this post you just put there, what it's going to mean to them, what's the benefit. So put a little bit of text with every post you put on Facebook. But Instagram, text, second thought, make it all about that beautiful image. And again, there's loads of ways to do that. One of the trainings that we're going to be doing coming up in one of our future podcasts is going to be some tips on how to take great images with your mobile phone. So that's a great one, a bit of fun coming up for you guys. But just remember, Instagram and Facebook, it's not about which platform you love the most. It's not about which platform looks the prettiest. You've got to remember, you've got a business that you want to grow. So before you pick a platform, before you even decide where you're going to spend all of your time, think about what is my key main objective that I want to achieve with this platform. What do I most want people to do when they come to my Instagram profile or my Facebook page? What do I want to get people to do? Do I want them to buy? Do I want to educate them? Do I want to nurture them? Do I want to entertain them? What are you most wanting to do with your platform? Once you figure that out, the next thing you want to think about is who is my perfect customer and how am I best going to reach them? So it's not about which platform you love the most. It's about which platform is most going to help me build a meaningful relationship with my ideal customer. Which platform is most going to help me make those new connections with my ideal customer? How am I going to help them find me? How am I going to find them? Once you've nailed those few things, working out your objective, working out where your perfect customer is, it's going to be really easy for you to not only choose a platform that works for you, but to use it effectively to grow your business. So just remember, successful social media usage comes back to one thing and one thing only: provide value. When you provide value and you make that your key primary goal, then you cannot possibly fail. So guys, hopefully you found this a little bit useful today, and I certainly hope that this has cleared up a few questions you had about Facebook versus Instagram. I'd love to hear your questions or your comments. Definitely reach out. If you want to know a little bit more, you want some additional help, contact me at sam@oxanomarketing.com.au, or you can follow our Facebook page, Oxano Marketing, and certainly you can follow us on Instagram as well. The last thing I just want to mention is if you want to get some more in-depth training, some more in-depth knowledge about how to use these two platforms, we have an amazing opportunity for you to jump in and join us in our Accelerator membership. Our Accelerator membership is currently available at only $29 a month. And the beauty of this training is that we jump in every week and we give you up-to-date knowledge, step-by-step walkthroughs, Q&As. I'm in there every week giving you training, understanding, and knowledge about how to use these two platforms to grow your direct selling business. If you want to know more about it, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to see you in there. But in the meantime, have an amazing week, and we'll see you guys again on this podcast very soon. See you guys.